Good evening. So I have now decided that I'm going to do Blake Lively's unsealed deposition. I feel like I need something. I'm not quite sure actually why I'm considering doing her deposition of all people's before I go to bed, because I probably won't sleep now. But here we go. Thankfully, people in America, it's still early for you, so you're safe. Okay, so we know that the attorney for Lively is going to be Ezra Hudson, and we know that Friedman is doing the Wayfarer representation. So I think we're starting up. I'm not quite sure what's happened. I don't know whether because I thought there was more stuff to be, more unredacted filings to be put on the docket by Wayfarer. I think a few of us did actually, and we're like, well, is that it? Because there was so much attached to their motion for summary judgment. However, I don't know whether they've combined it and because this is a 93-page filing, and I don't think Blake Lively has ever uploaded 93 pages on, into any of her oppositions or filings of her own deposition. So I'm starting to question now. It looks possibly like they filed a joint. They've combined all of the excerpts of, say, for an argument's sake, the Blake Lively's deposition, and then just put it onto one filing, which would be helpful. Okay. So, Hudson. What page are we starting on? Page 12. And because this is a combination of excerpts, so it's not going to flow, and we may, kind of abruptly end one page and then we're going halfway into a question or something on the next page, and we have jumped like 10 pages of the actual full deposition. So just be mindful. I will point that out when we are getting to a completely different page. Okay, so Hudson. Okay, thank you. Blake Lively, called as a witness, having been first duly sworn by notary public, was examined and testified as follows. So, examination by Attorney Friedman. Good morning. What's your full legal name? Blake Ellender Reynolds. And what is your date of birth? 25th of August, 1987. How long have you been an actress? 21 years. Do you recall the year you started? Professionally, 2004. You agreed to play the role of Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us at the end of 2022. Is that correct? Yes. Prior to that time, had you heard about the book with the same title? Prior to agreeing? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we are now jumping from, that was page 12, this is page 15. Friedman. What did you learn about how large the fan base was? Objection. Can you be more specific? Sure. When you first had learned about it having a large fan base, what did you specifically learn about the fan base? I don't understand the difference in the question. That it was a large fan base? All right. Did you know how many people that large fan base consisted of? No. Did you know how many people had, was there a following where a number of people loved the book? Objection. I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. That's okay. I'll ask many questions that will be unintelligible. I apologize in advance for that. Let me try it a different way. Prior to accepting the role, did you know what genre the book was? I don't know. Do you recall whether it was a comedy or a love story? And did you know anything like that prior to accepting the role? Yes. What did you know about the genre? I knew that there prior to accepting the role, I read the script, so it's a little hard to differentiate between the two. But yeah, I knew that there was romance. I know that there was drama. I knew that there was trauma. I knew that there was levity. There's that word again, levity. I knew that there were many facets in this story. It's interesting that she won't just say, I knew there were themes of domestic violence. It's like she cannot say the words. And you knew that as a result of reading the script or as a result of talking to someone else prior to the time that you accepted the role. No, sorry. And you knew that as a result of reading the script or as a result of talking to someone else prior to the time that you accepted the role. And we speculate that she spoke to Liz Plank. Her answer, reading the script. Prior to accepting the role, were you aware of what age demographic liked the book? I don't remember. Prior to accepting the role, had you heard of Colleen Hoover? No. See, in an interview, she said that she'd heard of Colleen and she loved her. I mean, she said in a different interview that she'd never heard of Colleen, but there were two interviews where she gave completely opposing answers. And in one, she was like, yeah, I'd heard of Colleen Hoover and I loved her. And in another interview then, which could only have been, days or weeks at most apart. No, I'd never heard of Colleen Hoover. And here she is in the deposition admitting she'd never heard of Colleen Hoover. When did you first hear of Colleen Hoover? In that same phone call that I mentioned. Okay, so it now jumps to page 28. And did you have any concern prior to accepting the role that would be some sort of an issue, that he would be both the lead actor and also, be the director? I've worked with actors before who have been both the actor and director, so it's not necessarily an immediate concern, but there were many factors at play with each person. And were there factors at play specifically with Mr. Baldoni as the male lead and the director during that time? Specific to him? Not necessarily. Every job, you have to consider all elements and all factors. Okay. Prior to accepting the role to play Lily Bloom, had you met Justin Baldoni? Yes. On how many occasions? 1. Where was that meeting? In New York City, in my apartment. Sorry. How long did that meeting last? I don't recall. It was a couple of hours. And do you recall when that meeting was? December of 2022. And we jump into page 50. She's answering a question. We don't know the question. To me, no. Friedman. Did Steve Sarowitz affirmatively do anything himself that made you feel uncomfortable or that you felt was inappropriate? I felt him attending the birthing scene was inappropriate. When was the birthing scene? May of 2023. What did Justin Baldoni do to sexually harass you? Objection. Lively, can you be more specific? No, Blake Lively, can you be more specific? Friedman, sure. You're claiming that Justin Baldoni sexually harassed you, correct? Yes, it's a long complaint. Is that a yes? Yes. What did he do to sexually harass you? Objection. There were a series of things. Do you recall the first thing he did where you felt you were sexually harassed? Objection. There were things he said and did where at the time you feel confused by someone's behavior or words being at odds with who they say they are. What is she saying then? If she had upfront knowledge that Justin Baldoni was actually a sleazeball like Harvey Weinstein, for instance, or Woody Allen, it would have been perfectly acceptable. But because he did TED Talks and was a male feminist ally, that's where her problem was. That's where she drew the line. I'm going to keep digressing here. Sorry. I continue. You feel confused by someone's behavior or words being at odds with who they say they are. And you start to see different pieces come together and the workplace feels overwhelming. So there were different moments. Friedman asks again, what is the first thing that you recall? I recall him telling me that he's circumcised. That's not in the complaint, though. When did he tell you that? In December of 2022. And where were you physically when he told you that? At my apartment. Was that at the same meeting that we were previously discussing, or a different meeting? It was the same meeting. And how did that come up? Were you discussing something, or did it just come up out of the blue? I was pregnant and I didn't know the gender of my child, and we were discussing different decisions that parents make and different factors having boys versus girls. I only had girls, and we were discussing different medical decisions people make these days, including circumcision for male babies. And did he bring that up, or did you bring that up? I don't remember. What did he say about circumcision? He told me the decision that they made for their child, they being him and his wife Emily, and then he offered that he was circumcised. And did you say anything in response to that? I was in shock. What? There is no way this woman is in shock at a comment like that. When, in her world, it's perfectly okay for her husband to send her boss a text message saying that he's going to get a producer's face, a female producer, by the way, tattooed on his perineum. Like, she lives with Ryan Reynolds. There's no way this is shocking. You say you're in shock. You couldn't speak, or I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what I said or did. Did you tell him that you were offended by it? No. Did you discuss with anyone the fact that you were offended by him saying that? Yes. Who did you discuss that with? My husband. Oh, back off. When did you discuss it with your husband? I don't recall. Was your husband in the apartment during that meeting? I don't remember. According to Justin Baldoni, though, he was, along with kids everywhere, nannies, assistants, chefs, just a load of people. Okay, Friedman. And were you offended by him talking about the different choices that were made, that him and Emily made the choice to have their child circumcised? Or were you just offended by him saying that he was circumcised, or both? Objection. I was not offended by them sharing the medical decisions that they made for their child, no. What, so it's okay for him to share that his son's genitals are circumcised, but he's a problem? I don't love this conversation. But you were offended by him sharing that he was circumcised. The feeling was much more complex than offended, but I found it disturbing, yes. Did he just bring it up out of the blue, or was he talking about it in context of his parents making the decision? Objection. He told me the decision they made for their child and then offered that he was circumcised. Did he say anything else about that? Objection. About what? Can you be more specific? About him being circumcised. About him being circumcised, that's all I can remember. Did this comment in any way cause you to reconsider whether you wanted to do the film or not? I found it disturbing, but given that it was one comment and he seemed nice, I wrote it off as him taking a benign conversation too far and hoped and assumed it would be an isolated incident. Did you ever tell him that you'd taken that comment, and by making that comment, he had taken that too far? Yes. Okay. When did you tell him that? Me personally? Yes. I believe the date was January 4th, 2023. Does she mean 2023 or 2024? Is she talking about the meet? I think that was meant to be 2024, and I think she's talking about the meeting at the apartment. Okay. Are we? Okay. I don't know that for definite, but I think that that's meant to be the all hands meeting on January 4th, 2024. Okay. Prior to January 4th, 2023, had you told him that he'd taken that too far and that was an inappropriate comment? That specific comment? And then it jumps to page 56. She's getting an instruction from Hudson. revealing attorney communications with your attorney, you can answer, but otherwise I instruct you not to answer. Lively, can you be more specific with your timing? Friedman, sure. Did you, after he made that comment, after that meeting, did you tell your... And then she interrupts and says, immediately after, is that what... I just want to understand. Friedman, at any time, I want to find out if there is some point in time where you told your manager or you told your agent. I am just trying to find out when that was, if there was a time you told them. Hudson, is your question limited to manager or agent? Friedman, yes. Lively, I don't recall when or if I told them that my manager or agent that specific comment. I believe I did. You believe you did? You just don't recall whether you did or not. Objection. I believe at some point before, from the time that that comment was made until now, yes, I do believe that I've discussed that with them. Do you recall when you discussed it with them? Okay. Freeman, do you recall when you discussed it with them? I mean, was it closer to now or closer to when the comment was made? Lively, I don't know. And you said that you've discussed it with your husband, is that correct? Yes. When did you discuss it with your husband? Objection. Not immediately after. When you say not immediately after, was there some point in the future when you did discuss it with your husband? Yes. And when was that? When more incidents occurred that made me feel disturbed? Did Justin say anything else during that meeting in December to you that made you feel uncomfortable? Not that I recall. Okay. And then it cuts off. And then we come back to a few pages later. She's answering, because he told me that he was rewriting the script. Were you also? And then she continues, and had almost entirely rewritten it. I'm sorry? And had almost entirely rewritten it. In April of 2023, were you also rewriting the script? Objection. Can you be more specific with the timing? Sure. At any time in April of 2023, did you work on a rewrite of the script? And this is what always amazes me, right? She's bitching. It's literally one of the things she's complaining about, is that he's rewriting all of the stuff in the script. And no one's talking about the fact that she's sitting there doing rewrites of the script. Okay. Anytime in April of 2023, did you work on a rewrite of the script? Yes. After the events that I just described to you, yes. In April of 2023, had you read the novel It Ends With Us? No. I told Justin about my process very early on. What do you mean by that? I mean that I have adapted. I've been a part of a book to film adaptations in many circumstances, and sometimes there are times where I've read the book in advance, and there are times where I haven't, because I found that what works better for me is to not read the book in advance, because it is hard for me to see the blind spots in the film, because you can't unlearn what you know from a book. You can't fill in story or character holes from what you know from a book. So I like to look at the film as its own piece to make sure that it works on its own. In April of 2023, did you know that there were sex scenes in the novel It Ends With Us? Yes. And what did you know? And did you know what sex scenes there were? I don't understand your question. Sure. The book It Ends With Us has sex scenes within the book, correct? Hudson objects. I believe so, yes. You're not sure though, right? Because you didn't read the book. I know there are sex scenes in the book, yes. Did you read the book? No. How do you know that there are sex scenes in the book? I love Friedman. Because I was told. He told you. I have since read. I just want to be more specific with the timing, because you said, did you read the book? Are we talking about April of 2023? What time period are we talking about? We're talking about any time. I've since read many chunks of the book. Well, there we go then. Don't need to read the whole thing. Just read a few chunks. Get the gist. When you say chunks, what parts of the book did you read? The rooftop section. The part her husband rewrote. I'm starting to see a pattern now. She read the book. When the bits of the book she did read, she thought was shit. So she got Ryan Reynolds to rewrite them for the film. Sorry, I'm feeling like in a bit of a childish mood here. And I am going to be very snarky. I've had a year of this woman and I've been subpoenaed by her as well. So I feel like I owe her nothing. Okay. The rooftop section. And I don't remember specifically which other sections. It was usually descriptive. When did you read the part of the book that had the rooftop scene? Spring of 2024. Well, Jesus Christ, you'd already finished filming by then. Had you already rewritten the rooftop scene by the spring of 2024? Yes. Did you read the sex scenes in the book It Ends With Us? Hudson's objecting. I don't recall. Do you know how many sex scenes there were? And then it jumps. She's answering yes to a completely different question, which we don't know. Next question, Friedman. And in terms of the additional sex scenes, which ones were those? We're narrowing it to just sex scenes. I just want to be clear about the way I described it, which was sex scenes and gratuitous elements within those scenes and others. So do you mind asking the question again? He is trying to catch her out here. He's like, well, you're saying your claim is that Justin Baldoni added gratuitous sex scenes. He changed scenes to add more sex. But you haven't read the book, have you? Like, what sex scenes are there in the book for you to compare? And he's basically forcing her to admit that she doesn't actually know because she didn't read the book. Okay. So do you mind asking the question again? Sure. What do you mean by gratuitous elements? The adding of explicit descriptives or scenes that weren't initially intended to be scenes that contained any aspect of intimacy now containing that. As you sit here today, can you recall which ones those were? I remember a few, yeah. Which ones do you remember? I remember a scene that was supposed to be the character of Lily visiting Ryle in a hospital as he tended to a child with, I believe, brain cancer, and her observing him kindly and then inviting him to dinner with her mum, becoming a scene in which Lily pulls him into a medical closet and starts role-playing naughty doctor with him as she invites him to dinner, asking him to, I don't remember the literal words, but examine her. I remember the description of cunnilingus. Oh my God. To have been in the room listening to Blake Lively say that word. I remember the description of cunnilingus, which I'm sure most people listening to this will be fully aware that is oral sex on a woman. The inference being an important element, and see Lily's face as she experienced the pleasure. And then I remember Lily and Ryle climaxing at the same time together on their wedding night. And those were all added in there after the script that you had reviewed when you agreed to do the film. Is that correct? Yes. And at some point, did an intimacy coordinator go over some of those scenes with you and ask whether you were comfortable with them or not? That would not be standard at that point in production, in my experience, in over 20 years. At some point, did you express or cross out the cunnilingus scenes? Objection. I expressed discomfort with the sexual additions. Did you have a reason to believe that those were added to the scene not for a creative reason? And then it jumps from page to page 66. Halfway through a question, these additional gratuitous scenes, is that correct? Yes. Did you know whether or not those were creative decisions that were made to add those into the script? Hudson objects. If you're asking upon reading, is that the timing? Yes. Then what's the question? The question is, did you know whether they were added because it was a creative decision that was added that would make, in Justin's opinion, the film better? Or did you believe that they were just added because he wanted to just add a bunch of sex scenes in there? Objection. I wasn't sure. Did you ask him? Did I ask him what? Oh my God, she's just plain stupid now. This is time wasting. Did you ask him whether he added those gratuitously so he could have more sex in the scene and to make it offensive towards you, or was this a creative decision that he made? Objection. I don't remember what was asked specifically. I do remember expressing concerns with the additions. I also remember expressing understanding that if that was the film he needed to make creatively, and if what he wanted to make now was different than what I thought we were making, I understood if he needed to work with someone else, and I offered that. When you said you expressed concerns, who did you express those to? Justin Baldoni. And when did you express that to him? After reading those pages, we had a meeting. Where did the meeting take place? At my office. The office being Buckingham Palace. The office in the apartment? Yeah, this is a different one, but yeah. Do you recall the date of that meeting? I don't. How long did that meeting last? I don't remember. Did you remember anything? Then it jumps. Hudson's objecting. She says she's answering, I don't know. I don't know what the question is, though. Friedman, prior to January 2024, did you ask anyone on your behalf to send a written complaint to Sony? Hudson, well, Friedman then says she can answer yes or no. Hudson, well, objection to the extent it calls for attorney-client privileged communications, in which case I instruct you not to answer unless you can answer that question without revealing privileged communications. Friedman, yes or no answer? I was told by an executive at Sony that I could not file a HR complaint through Sony. Who told you that? Ange Giannetti. And when did she tell you that? May of 2023. Did she tell you that on the phone or in person? Telephone. Did you call her or did she call you? I believe I called her. Do you know, was it in the evening or during the day? I don't remember the exact time. Do you recall when, in May of 2023, that you called her? Late May. And what did you say to her? We spoke about a few things. Do you recall what you said to her? Yes. What do you recall? What I said to her in general, or are you asking? As much as you can recall. I and my baby had contracted COVID from the set, and we discussed that. Now, Ange Giannetti does give slightly different testimony here, that the COVID wasn't actually confirmed. It was suspected, but it wasn't confirmed. But the baby was in hospital with RSV, which is it's a common respiratory kind of virus. It's especially common in children, but it is not COVID. So we don't know if COVID was confirmed subsequently, but at the time of this phone call, Ange Giannetti's testimony is that, it hadn't been confirmed. I'm just a stickler for being precise in details. Okay. We discussed issues with scheduling and that we weren't making our days. I asked her if she was told that the crew was asked to come in early so that I could attend a concert, because I had a feeling that while I didn't solicit that, it was offered to me as a way to make the day, because we had a strict cut-off in Hoboken. And we were falling behind, and they wanted me to come in early, and I was often coming in early because we weren't making our days. They said, do you want to come in early and we'll get you out for this concert? And I said, I'm happy to come in early. I'm here to work. I don't need to go to a concert. I'd love to go to a concert, but I would not ask work to accommodate that. No, what she did when she wanted to go to a concert was let them know that she couldn't come in because she was ill or one of the kids was ill and they had strep throat. And then there would be a news article in the following days saying that she'd gone to a Taylor Swift concert. I'm being very cynical. I know I'm being cynical. Okay. And they said, no, it's better for us. And I said, okay. And I had a feeling that it was being presented as if I was the one that requested that. So I asked her if that's how it was presented to her. And she confirmed that yes, it was presented that I asked for everyone to come in early so that I could get out for a concert. And I expressed concerns with our first AD that I understood our other producer, Alex Sachs, to share. And I discussed wanting to file a HR claim with Sony given experiences I'd had with Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath. Did you tell Ange during that call what experiences you'd had with Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath? I started to, yes. When you say you started to, can you recall? Can you tell me what you recall saying to her? I recall telling her that while on set, Jamie had approached me asking if I had a minute without telling me he wanted to show me without telling me what he wanted to show me, and that it was a video of a naked woman. The framing is just wild. And that I was very concerned and disturbed, and I asked him to stop. And I told her that I felt like the set was untenable and unruly, and that there was no structure, and that no one was in charge. And that people who were in charge were misbehaving, and that I felt like I had nowhere to go. And she said, well, you can't file it through Sony because we don't run physical production. We're just a distributor. You have to file it with Wayfarer. And I said, well, so I file it with them about them, and they're meant to investigate themselves and share the results and make it better and safer. Do you guys have any visibility into this? Hold on, is that running? Yeah, it's continuing. And she said, we don't oversee physical production. And I said, okay, then just please don't say anything while I want to talk to my team because I want to understand how to handle this because this is a really unique position. You don't normally have the studio also be the director, also be the co-star, also be the financier. I mean, she could have gone to SAG-AFTRA. When signing on to the film, I thought Sony had a greater hand in the film, which is part of what gave me confidence. And that was really shocking and unsettling. And so I asked her not to say anything while I figured out how to handle it to make it safest and make the workplace tenable for me and others. I also expressed that others had experiences, but I wasn't going to speak for them. When did you find out what Sony's role was in connection with the film? Objection. That was the first moment that I understood them not to have as meaningful of a, and then it cuts off. And we're going to a different page. Looks like they've had lunch or something at this point. Friedman, hi, good afternoon. I just want to walk through some of the other allegations of sexual harassment. One of the things that's alleged in the amended complaint is, I believe you're saying that Justin complimented your outfit. Is that correct? Objection. No. Are you saying that one of the instances of sexual harassment or something that made you otherwise uncomfortable was that there was one day in which Justin commented how much he liked your outfit? No. Did Justin ever say anything inappropriate or that bothered you concerning an outfit that you wore? Objection. There was an incident that made me uncomfortable. Yes. What page is this? Okay. And when was that incident? Late May of 2023. Do you recall the date? I don't know the exact date, no. And do you recall where that took place? Yes. Where did it take place? On a bar set, when we were rehearsing. Was that bar scene? No, we were rehearsing that scene, but no, it was not the scene. It was when I arrived to work. And can you tell me what happened? Can you be more specific? What's difficult with can you tell me what happened? Can you be more specific? Sorry. Sure. What about whatever happened there made you uncomfortable? I was wearing I had a newborn baby and I had a jacket on and that was covering my dress underneath and I bent down to pick something up and the jacket opened and my dress was low cut because it was easier to feed my baby. And Mr. Baldoni Justin said in front of, I remember in front of Jenny Slate, and I don't remember specifically who else was there, but he said, I like your outfit, and he gestured at the chest. You just made a movement of your hand. Yes. It's hard for the court reporter to mark those down. What do you mean he made a gesture of his hand and said, I like your dress? He gestured across the chest. Did he gesture across your chest or his chest? He said, I like your outfit. He moved his hand up and down like above and below his chest or your chest. I was standing in front of him, so I don't know whose chest, but he didn't touch my chest. Okay, if that's what you're asking. When he made the gesture in front of his chest, was his arm closer to his chest or closer to your chest? I don't recall. And what were you doing during this time? Was it during a rehearsal of some sort? We weren't rehearsing the scene yet, but I was on the set to rehearse the scene. I mean, all I got from that entire testimony was that Justin Baroni said, I like your outfit. But she doesn't know in which direction. Was he pointing to the dress? In which case, what's so offensive about that? Was he like putting his hand on his heart as if to say, like he does when he goes, he's trying to use body language to sort of demonstrate love, or I don't know, just being generally nice. It's such a nothing burger. But she doesn't remember it anyway. That's the wild thing, right? It's so offensive. We've got this huge lawsuit going on, but she can't even recall the details of it. Okay. And who else was present, if anyone? The person I remember most is obviously Justin Baldoni. The other person I remember is Jenny Slate. I know there were other people in the room, but I don't know who experienced that other than the people that I mentioned. And when you say experienced that, you mean who else saw it? Who else witnessed it? Yeah, there may have been others who saw it and witnessed it. I don't know. And I apologize for asking this again. I think you said you were wearing a low-cut dress. Is that correct? Under my jacket, yes. And was the low-cut dress to facilitate breastfeeding? Yes. When she says low cut, right, and then she's kind of connecting that with, it's low cut to facilitate breastfeeding, right? To people who kind of, may take that quite literally, just to clarify, the boobs are not out of the dress. It's not that low cut. It is just a dress which might show up a bit of cleavage, right? Very similar to the dress she, say, wore at the premiere, where there was no problem with her cleavage being on display to the world. And all Justin Baldoni seems to have done here that seems to have offended her so badly is say, I like your outfit. Okay. And was the low-cut dress to facilitate breastfeeding? Yes. Hudson objects. I don't know why. Witness, sorry. Was the jacket or coat that you were wearing, was that an item that you personally owned, or was it something that the studio purchased for the movie? I was wearing my own clothes. Was it part of your costume for the role? No. That jacket wasn't in the role at all? No. Was it part of a pre-approved wardrobe for the scene? No, it was in my own clothes. This was rehearsal. And can you describe the coat in detail? It was a blue corduroy jacket. It's my husband's coat. Oh my God. Can you describe any other parts of it? Yeah, it's I don't know how to. It's like a blazer style, I would want to say, but it's an oversized blazer where the collar and everything comes upward. Is there a zipper, or no? Buttons. What was it made of, if you know? Corduroy. So it wasn't fur, is that correct? Corduroy. How long was the coat? To my thighs. So would you say that it's waist length, knee length, or ankle length? I guess it's not thigh length then, right? Does this continue? Yes. I don't know how else to describe it. It was to my thighs. Okay, and what colour was it? Blue. Was it a solid colour or did it have a print? It was solid. And it closed with buttons, is that correct? Yeah, there are buttons. Not snaps? No. Was Justin, to your knowledge, was Justin able to see what you were wearing underneath the coat? Not until I bent down low. I'm curious, what if it had buttons, why didn't you just do up the buttons? It's like the onesie that was kind of, partially unzipped, and then she was complaining about not wanting to take a coat off so no one would see her lace bra. But the simple solution would have been to zip the fucking onesie up. This woman is just infuriating. And what happened when you bent down that allowed him to see what you were wearing under the coat? The coat opened up. And when the coat opened up, it revealed the dress? Well, can you be more specific what you're asking? Sure. When the coat opened up, was it just one button that opened or a bunch of buttons that opened up? Did the entire coat open up? I never said the buttons opened up. I don't know that the buttons opened up. I know that the coat was covering me, and then I bent down, it opened, and it exposed the upper region under my coat. And was the upper region underneath your coat, was that clothed? I was wearing a dress. Is that a yes? Was it clothed? Yes. So, do you know how the jacket popped open? I bent down. Had that ever happened to you when you bent down with that jacket? Objection. Sometimes jackets open when you bend down. I don't know with that jacket specifically. And how long was the jacket popped open for? I don't know. Briefly. And when you say briefly, do you mean 1 minute? Less than a minute? I don't know. It wasn't more than 3 minutes, was it? I don't believe so, no. The dress that was underneath the jacket, was that something that you personally owned, or was it something that the studio purchased for the movie? They were my clothes. And was it part of the costume for your role? No. And what was the dress made of? I don't know the exact materials. I think it was cotton, and I don't know what else. And how long was the dress? To my ankles. Was the dress a print or a solid colour? Solid. And what kind of neck did the dress have? Was it V-neck or a rounded neck or a square neck? Friedman knows a hell of a lot about dresses. I don't know what you mean by neck. What? This woman has been doing nothing but banging on about clothes. This woman took charge of the costume for this film, but she doesn't understand what neck means. There were straps on the dress. Was the neck cut low or higher? Or, yeah, it was low. Sorry for some of these questions. Did your cleavage show? I believe so, yes. Are you certain of that, or do you just believe so? Well, you have to be more specific with the question. How? How much more specific can he get? How many centimeters of cleavage was on display, Miss Lively? I mean, did your cleavage show? What is difficult with this? Are you talking about the dress? Or yeah, did the dress show your cleavage? Objection. Yes. Did your nipple show? Friedman gets straight to the point. I think he's sick of the bullshit answers here. Did your nipple show? No, not that I'm aware of. Not that you're aware. How can you not be aware of it? And the dress was specifically designed for ease of breastfeeding. Is that correct? Objection. I don't know what the dress was designed for. I didn't design it. What was the purpose of your wearing the dress? To make it easier to breastfeed? Yes. Did you always wear those types of dresses or shirts that made it easier to facilitate breastfeeding in May of 2023? That was the only time I remember wearing that dress. What about other types of clothing? Did you wear other types of clothing in May of 2023? Were there either low-cut dresses or shirts to facilitate the ease of breastfeeding? I don't recall. I was breastfeeding often, so I had a newborn baby. But I don't often wear low-cut clothing to work. You don't often wear low-cut clothing to work. I mean, that's not true. It might not be work generally, like when they're doing table conversations or read-throughs and so on and so forth. But, on the red carpet, she, and some press events, she's definitely wearing a lot of low-cut stuff. Friedman, was that something important in May of 2023, that you wear something that made breastfeeding easier for you? Objection. I didn't have much time to feed my baby, so if there was a way in which I could remain as covered as possible while breastfeeding, that was always a goal for me. You said that Justin commented on how much he liked your outfit, is that correct? Yes. Do you recall what his exact words were? I believe he said, "I like your outfit." It was the inflection and the gesture that felt uncomfortable to me. And you specifically recall him saying the word outfit. I believe so. And then you said it was the gesture that made you feel uncomfortable. What do you mean by that? I mean, it was the hand gesture that he made. I also said it was the inflection, the way he said it, and the context surrounding the moment. Are you kidding? She couldn't remember whether he was pointing at her chest or his earlier. Can you tell me about the inflection that made it uncomfortable? Can you be more specific with your question? Sure. You used the term inflection as one of the things that made you feel uncomfortable. Do you mean the tone of his voice? I mean, there was a knowing inflection. It wasn't a casual in-passing inflection. I also hadn't just walked in, so it wasn't the moment he saw the outfit. I mean, if it's covered with a coat, how can he comment that it was a nice dress? He would have made that observation when the jacket opened and he actually saw the dress, and at that point made a decision on whether he liked it or not. Oh, she's making something out of nothing here. Okay, it wasn't until I bent down and the coat opened that I got the compliment on my outfit. Oh, yeah, because it was covered by a coat. And in terms of the inflection, do you recall how that sounded? I recall how it felt. Okay, how did it feel? I felt uncomfortable. I felt exposed. I felt humiliated. I felt ashamed. I felt bad. Jesus. She feels a lot of things for just hearing the words, "I like your outfit." When Justin was saying that he liked your outfit, do you know whether he was referring to your coat or your dress or the combination of both? Which is a really good point, because he could have been talking about the jacket. Hudson objects. It didn't feel like he was referring to either. Oh. Did it feel like he was referring to something different than either the coat or the dress? Yes. What did it feel like he was referring to? It felt like he was referring to my chest because he was gesturing. Oh. Right. She does not actually know this. She's putting her own assumptions into this and her own interpretations, which are probably wrong. Like, there's literally no evidence that he was referring to her chest. He said he liked the outfit. Anything more than that seems to be overthinking or ego. Okay. And that gesture was with one hand, is that correct? That's my recollection. And the hand, did it go above his head or no? Below his head? It was in the chest area. And do you know how long that gesture lasted for? Long enough for me to feel awful. Oh. Did he do it a few times or just one time? Do what a few times? The gesture with his hand. It was a gesture. Are you asking how many times his hand pumped up and down? I think I'm asking how many gestures he made. Was it one gesture or more than one gesture? Objection. I don't understand your question. You said that he made a gesture, right? Yes. And the gesture was was it with his right arm or his left arm? I don't remember which hand. And you said his gesture was going over his chest, up and down, right? Yes. And did he do that once or more than one time? Did his hand go up and down more than one time? Yes. I mean, it went up and down, so it's one gesture. Okay. I'm not saying how many pumps it was the gesture covering the chest. You don't know whether it was one or more times. I don't understand your question. Well, you indicated that it was a gesture of where he went up and he went down. He didn't go like this, and then she's indicating. He did not do that. What did he do exactly? And she appears to, it says indicating in brackets, so she appears to have demonstrated, which the stenographer obviously can't explain. And then says, then quotes Justin Baldoni as saying, "I like your outfit." Hudson, let the record reflect the witness has demonstrated. So he said, "I like your outfit, and can you describe where he moved his hand from what part of his body to the other part of his body?" Lively, I would say from here to here, indicated. So when you say here, it looked to me that it was maybe your solar plexus. No, I'm saying it was probably in my rib cage. Oh my god. I mean, the solar plexus is pretty damn close to the rib cage. It's in the center, like near the aorta. So it's kind of it would be under breast point. Okay. Friedman, so he made the gesture from the rib cage to where? I mean, across the breast would be. We could be a bit more explicit, I think. Friedman, and did he stop at the chin or right below the chin? Lively, where breasts would be. What did you say, if anything, after Justin complimented your outfit? Objection. I don't remember, but I remember grabbing my coat and covering myself. Have you ever complimented anyone's outfit or what they were wearing while making the film? I feel like I know what's coming. I'll just check it's a continuation. Hudson objects. I don't recall the specifics. Do you recall complimenting somebody's outfit generally? Objection. That's a broad statement. Have I ever complimented someone's outfit? Do you recall it? During the making of this film, do you recall complimenting anyone's outfit? I don't know why she's struggling with these questions. Objection. A specific recollection of a moment of complimenting someone's outfit specifically? No, I don't have a specific memory. Has anyone else ever complimented your outfit or what you were wearing during the making of the film? Objection. Yes. Who else did that? Objection. I don't remember specifically, but I do remember people being complimentary of the wardrobe. No, they weren't complimentary of the wardrobe. Sony hated the wardrobe. When you say people, there was more than one person that complimented your outfit during the making of the film? Yes, I remember compliments on wardrobe. Were you offended by any of those comments? No, I never had anyone. The context surrounding the interaction I had with Justin Baldoni. Do you recall, I may have asked you this before, and I believe you said in May of 2023. Do you recall the specific date? Objection. I don't know the exact date, no. Another instance of sexual harassment that you've identified is that Justin Baldoni called you or what you were wearing sexy and hot. Are you aware of that? Am I aware of what? Objection. Are you aware that's one of the allegations that you're saying that was sexual harassment is that Justin said that either what you were wearing or what you were wearing was sexy or hot. Can you be specific? You're saying, oh, fucking hell, this is your complaint. Why does she need to be more specific? This is her fucking complaint. Even Jenny Slate, who was allegedly a witness to this, did not struggle this much with these questions. Okay, can you be more specific? You're saying, or sure, let me actually let you use your own words. Can you tell me the circumstances can you tell me what the circumstances were when Justin used words like sexy or hot? Okay, so then it jumps. It skips a page. Okay, so she's answering a question. The bar was a set for the film. It was a real bar, but it was used as a location in the movie. And do you recall what time of the day that was? It was early in the day. And where were you standing when he made these comments? In the bar set? Yes. You were standing in the bar set. Any more description you can give me about where in the bar that you were standing? There was a table that we were all acting around that was probably in the middle of the bar, but we hadn't begun the scene yet, so we were in the midst of the bar set. And what happened specifically? With what? With him using the term sexual. Is Friedman, seriously, we're 2 pages past the last page we just read. Is Friedman still struggling to get her to talk about sexy and hot? Okay. Lively. He asked me to remove a coat that I was wearing, which was a wardrobe coat, which was a part of the look that had been photographed and shared for that scene. And when I arrived to set, he asked me, once I was on set, amongst others, I remember once again Jenny Slate standing there, and he said, "Can you take off your coat?" And I thought that it was a more interesting outfit to wear the coat. I thought it was more eclectic and dynamic. Oh, fucking hell. And he said, "Well, we want to see it without the coat. This is a onesie, for fuck's sake." So I took off the coat, and under the coat, I was wearing a onesie that was zipped low with a lace bra peeking out, because the scene after this is a sex scene or a hookup scene, rather. And he asked me to take off the coat, and I'm standing amongst many cast and crew and extras, and I felt on display, and he said, "I think you look sexy." She could have zipped up. Again, it's not rocket science. And he said, "I think you look sexy." And I said, "That's not what I'm going for." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, hot." And to be honest, the way she's kind of worded that, it sounds like he might have been asking if she was hot, because it was hot. It was like really high temperatures that day. She's obviously taking that she's being called hot, which that might have been what was implied, but we don't know. Lively. And I said, "Not that either." And then he said, "Oh, well, I guess I missed the HR meeting." And looked at me. I remember him being aware of Jenny Slate and getting a little huffy and walked off. And I performed the scene without the coat. When you say, you used the term huffy, was he getting huffy, or were you were getting huffy? It felt like he was. And you said that one of you walked off. He did. Were other people wearing onesies at that time in that scene? Yes. Who else was wearing onesies in that scene? The characters I recall were Justin Baldoni was wearing it for his character, Jenny Slate was wearing it for her character, and Hassan Minhaj was wearing it for his. Did you ever have a conversation with Justin about that incident? Yes. When did you have a conversation with him about it? My recollection is there were more than one occasion. Do you recall the first one after the actual event? Yes. Where did that take place? On the set. And did you initiate that conversation, or did he? He did. What did he say? He attempted to excuse and justify and backpedal. He said that he acknowledged that I don't know the exact words, but he, is someone who makes mistakes. That was a non-answer. And he wasn't making points that I felt were coherent. I don't understand quite what he was saying, and I don't believe Jenny did either. She then jumped in to talk about dynamics on a set and how uncomfortable it can be when you are getting unwarranted comments. And he never asked me if I was okay. He never told me that that was inappropriate, that he personalized those comments, and that it would never happen again, and that he understood the mistake that had been made and acknowledged that what had happened. And I never felt reassurance that he understood to tell me that he wouldn't put me in that situation again. I understood that he knew he made a mistake, but it felt like he was trying to get me on board with understanding why that was okay. What did he say that gave you the indication that he was trying to get you on board with this being okay? Like I said, I don't remember the specific words he said because he wasn't really making a lot of coherent points. Oh my god, the irony. He had been in what felt like a retaliatory mood since I said to him, "That's not what I'm going for," and "Not that either." That was something that I knew of him. When I expressed a boundary, that behavior. And I was always very uncomfortable afterwards because I knew that I had to be in scenes and maintain some level of chemistry and camaraderie with this person. So I'm going to translate that. Whenever he said no, I took that as retaliation. She continues. So those were all very unsettling moments where there was a lot coming up. Friedman, did he ever say when you spoke to him about it did he ever ask you whether he had crossed the line? I think I made it pretty clear he had crossed the line. Did he ever say, though, did I cross the line? Did he ever ask you? Objection. I believed him to have an understanding that he crossed the line from his behavior. That's not what the question. That is not the question you were asked. Friedman, and I understand that you have that understanding, but as you sit here today, you don't recall whether or not he said he asked you whether he had crossed the line. Is that correct? I think it was very obvious that I felt he had crossed the line. That's not the fucking question, you silly cow. She's answering a question she's not been asked, and it's really pissing me off. This is not a difficult question. Did he say? Did he ask? Not, it's obvious. I think it was very obvious that she felt he had crossed the line. I can't tell you what's in his head, but I can tell you that I was quite clear. Right. I'm asking you for your recollection of what he said right now. And so if you recall, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But do you recall him asking you if he had crossed the line? I don't recall him asking me anything. I recall him speaking at me. Okay, was this incident on the same day that he complimented your outfit, or was this a different day? It was the same day. Sorry, yeah. I take that to mean it is the same day, but I don't know. Because it cuts off then and we go to a different page. Okay, so we're halfway through a question. So we had talked about what you were wearing, your personal clothes earlier, and now you say that Justin said hot and sexy. I'm trying to find out what you were wearing when he said that. Hudson objects. Lively. When he said that, it was after he asked me to remove the coat, the wardrobe coat from over the top of the onesie that I was wearing. So at that point, I was wearing a onesie that was zipped low with a burgundy lace bra peeping out. And what were you wearing that was part of the wardrobe for that scene? That. What about the coat? Yes, the coat was also wardrobe for the scene. Had the coat been approved in advance? That was my understanding. By whom? Objection. I don't know who made approvals, but when you do a fit-in, you take photos for any of the decision makers to approve. And if there is an issue, the wardrobe designer will come to you. And it cuts off then. But that's interesting, right? Because in her PGA letter, she's like, I made all the decisions, right? But when asked here, Who approved that coat as part of the wardrobe? I don't know. How can you say that you were making all these decisions and you were overseeing every aspect and then sit and say, I don't know who did this. I don't know who was in charge of approving wardrobe. Because one of the PGA letters you got is from the head of costume. So how does she not know who is in charge of approving the wardrobe? Makes no sense. Okay, so we jump the page. Her answer. She's answering a question. We don't know the question. The time in which he told me I looked sexy and I looked hot. Yes, I'm claiming that. Odd choice of words. I'm guessing the question that was preceding that answer was, are you saying that is, sexual harassment or something to that effect? And her response is, the time in which he told me I looked sexy and I looked hot. Yes, I'm claiming that. Friedman, any other time that he told me I looked sexy that I'm claiming? Yes. Not me specifically, no. Were you uncomfortable or felt like you were harassed as a result of hugging and touching? Objection. The first time, no. When was the first time? Well, there were a lot of hugs. Do you recall the first time? No. Okay. I recall the first time on set, the first day on set. And are you alleging that you felt uncomfortable or sexually harassed as a result of hugging on the set? Objection. There is more context. Go ahead. The first day on set, there were a lot of hugs, and I made an announcement. I said, okay, great. We all hugged each other. We all liked each other. We're all happy to be here. Let's not do that every day. Like, we got it. We're all good. Sorry. Like, we got it. We're all happy to be here. Let's do our work. And the rest of the crew, to my recollection, didn't insist upon it. It was, if there was an organic moment, they may hug each other. I'm not sure. But the difference with Justin and Jamie is that they would come for the hug every day. And if you didn't hug them, they would become prickly and standoffish and shut down. So my issue with the hugging and touching is when a boundary is expressed and the boundary is not respected, or when the boundary affects the work because of the person's reaction to receiving a physical boundary. Right. Freeman. And do you recall specifically any instances where you didn't provide a hug to Justin and or Jamie and you felt like you were somehow punished or responded to in a negative way? Lively. I often tried to busy myself so that I didn't have to give hugs. Sometimes it was easier just to do it and get it over with so that the work wouldn't be affected, because I found Justin could be less collaborative. And so I remember on a flower shop day, he was attempting to give me a hug, and I really didn't want to be touched or forced to touch him. And so I was viewing the shop in awe, and the shop was amazing, but I really busied myself with remarking on the production design and every detail so that I could avoid having to hug him. And he, followed along behind me, and that was always, felt like it was always expected that we do that. How many times did you not hug Justin and he responded negatively? My recollection is that every time I didn't hug him, he would shut down. Was that every day? No. There were some days where it was just easy. It was easier to just hug him. But every day that you didn't hug him, your testimony is that he would shut down. My recollection is that he would become prickly, yes. And what do you mean by prickly? I mean that the warmth and his warmth felt tied to physical affection. And whilst that's something I can understand in a personal setting, in a work setting, it was really hard. Have you ever used the word sexy or hot with Justin, referring to yourself? To myself? Yes. Not to my recollection. Not to me personally. Have you ever used the word sexy or hot with Justin to refer to something you were wearing or that you proposed to wear in the film? In the context of the film, in the creative context, yeah, I would use the word sexy. More than once? I don't recall, but I would imagine so. And what about hot? Did you use that term in connection with filming? Objection. I don't recall. You might have or you might have not. You just don't recall? Objection. I don't recall, but only in the context. I think we just skip some pages. Okay, she answers yes. I don't know what to. Friedman, can you explain who walked into your trailer uninvited while you were undressed or breastfeeding? Jamie Heath. Anyone else? I have a memory of my hairdresser locking the door to hair and makeup because Jamie and Justin would often pop by. Often pop by. So I know that was a consideration and an alteration we had to make in the way that we worked. I had never locked a trailer door consistently on a film before. Can you recall a specific time that either Jamie or Justin walked into your trailer, uninvited while you were undressed or breastfeeding? Yes. What do you recall? I recall Jamie Heath walking in or trying to walk in and me telling him not to come in, and him insisting on coming in anyway or the meeting would be cancelled. When was that? Day 2 of production or filming. Did you tell Jamie Heath that made you feel uncomfortable? I did. What did you say to him? I recounted what had happened, and I told him that wasn't okay. And he said, yeah, I told him, that I told him to turn around, and it's not okay to insist on that anyway, and that he could never do that again. And then I told him to turn around, and that he was looking right at me, and he expressed that he liked to make eye contact with people. He had a habit of making eye contact with people when speaking with them. So that's why that happened. He was saying that why he went in there was because he wanted to have eye contact with you when speaking to people? Objection. No, he was saying that's why he looked after I told him not to. This is the second day of production, correct? Yes. And do you know what time of the day it was that he came into your trailer? Evening. And was the trailer unlocked? I don't know if it was unlocked at that point. He attempted to come in and we stopped him from coming in. And when you say we, who are you referring to? My hair and makeup artist. Did you have security there at the time? Inside my trailer, no. Outside your trailer? I don't know where they were standing at that moment. The name of your security person is Kevin, correct? Objection. We have different people who rotate. But was there always someone, a security person, outside your trailer? Objection. Not necessarily stationed right outside the hair and makeup door. They patrol. Do you know, as you sit here today, do you recall that specific second day of production, whether or not there was a security person outside your trailer? Objection. I don't recall, no. I was inside the trailer, so I wouldn't have seen who was standing there. Did you ever call out for security or ask for security to come in and take Jamie away? Objection. No. And how long was Jamie in your trailer for? I don't know exactly, but I would say around 5 minutes. And what was discussed during the 5 minutes that he was in your trailer? We were meant to have a production meeting that night, and he came to my trailer as we were going to have a production meeting in my trailer. And he came to the hair and makeup trailer as I was getting my body makeup removed and my hair wig off, so that I could wrap out hair and makeup, and then I could then go into my own trailer and have a meeting with them. He unexpectedly came to my trailer, knocked on the door, and said, "We've got to talk." I said, "We can't talk right now. I'll be there in a few minutes. I'm getting done as fast as I can so we can have this meeting." He said, "Oh no, we've got to talk now." There's something about reporter clarification, Lively from where, reporter clarification. And Lively continues. I said, "I'll meet you there in a minute. I'm getting dressed. I'm undressed. I'm getting ready for the meeting. I will be there in just a minute." He said, "If we don't meet now, we can't do that meeting." And that meeting was very important to me because it was to discuss other behavior that I had experienced earlier that day that was concerning to me. So I said, okay, fine. You can come in. And he came in, and I said, "Okay, you can come in, but please don't look. Can you turn around?" So he turned around and he faced the wall. And I was in front of the hair and makeup mirror as my team was working They call it double teaming when they're both working at the same time to either get you ready or disassemble you. And I was helping as well so that we could work quickly. And Jamie said that the meeting had to happen on my time. The meeting we were about to have, that it, because of my turnaround, which is the time from the time that I'm done with work until the time I start again, my turnaround was 12 hours. And he said, this meeting has to be on your clock. We don't have time for this. And I said, this isn't a personal meeting. This is a production meeting to discuss how to make the set better and smoother. And he was arguing for it to be on my personal time. And I said, my personal time is important to me because I have a newborn baby. When I go home, I prepare for the next day. I feed my baby. I work out. I have a lot of responsibilities. I really need my time. And this is not a personal meeting. It's a production meeting. And as I'm having this negotiation with him, I turned to him and he's staring straight at me. He's no longer facing the wall. He's staring straight at me. And I said, Jamie, what are you doing? You said you would turn around. And then she's quoting him here. Oh, sorry. I like to make eye contact with people when I talk to them. And I said, you need to leave. And so he left the trailer. And I finished getting ready. I was incredibly shaken. My memory is hair and makeup. The women who did my hair and makeup were all shaken as well. And then I finished doing my work. And I went in and I took the meeting. Friedman, when you said he was looking at you, was he looking in your eyes or somewhere else? Well, when I turned, he was fully facing me and I was topless. So I don't know all of the contours of my body that his eyes were on. Okay, and when you were topless, did you have body makeup on? Yes. And as you sit here today, you don't remember where on your body or your eyes that he was looking at that time, is that correct? Objection. I remember turning around and he was facing me, topless, when I said the only way you can come in is if you turn around and face the wall. And he was faced the exact opposite direction, facing me. Right. I'm just trying to find out, where his eyes were at the time you turned around. Were his eyes at your eyes looking at you? Objection. Where his eyes were, I remember feeling like he was looking at my body. So that's my memory. It's always a feeling. I feel like his tone was this. I feel like this gesture was that. I feel like he wasn't talking about my dress. He was talking about my chest. I feel like his eyes were on my body, not in my eyes. It's always just vague enough to, to kind of, warrant, referring to it as a concern. Friedman, okay. And when you say you remember feeling like he was looking at your body, you don't have a recollection that he actually was looking at your body, but it felt like that. Is that correct? Yeah. I mean, the guy was the only way he could come in the trailer, which I wasn't comfortable with in the first place, is if he was facing the wall. Then I turn around and he's facing me, topless. Okay. One of the other things in your complaint talks about drafting a graphic orgasm scene. Do you recall that? If I recall what? Did she read her complaint? Friedman, that there was some sort of orgasm scene, a graphic orgasm scene that was drafted that bothered you or you felt you were harassed by. Objection. It wasn't that there was a scene in the movie, it was the experience surrounding it that felt upsetting. What experience was there around that scene? When I expressed my discomfort with the fact that scenes had become more gratuitous and they felt in some cases somewhat pornographic to me, Justin Baldoni, instead of speaking as a filmmaker about the characters, attempted to, what I felt, convince me to do the scenes by giving me personal reasons as to why those scenes existed. And what did he say? To which one? Oh, for fuck's sake. To why those scenes existed. Anyone. The characters climaxing at the same time. He told me that he and his wife orgasm at the same time and asked me if my husband and I do the same. When I said that the scenes felt pornographic, he shared with me that he, as he put it, had been previously addicted to pornography, and so he understood it very well, and that the scenes were not in fact pornographic, but instead they were told through the female gaze, because this is what women wanted to see, that women often see, that women want to see themselves being pleasured on camera. There was a scene that he was proposing in which he brings his character, Ryle, brings the character Lily to orgasm on camera, and I felt like I would be mortified to shoot something like that at this stage in my life. Is she admitting she's too old for this role? She goes on to say, and it's this stage of my life and career and being a mother of 4 kids, and given that that was not in the understanding of the script that I came into the film with. Now, when she's saying, "Oh, I'm mortified to be doing this my stage in my life," the fact that I'm mother of 4 kids, she needs to remember she's not portraying a mother of 4 kids who is, pushing 40. She is portraying inexplicably, and this is one of the criticisms, that the first backlash, she is portraying a young woman in her 20s who's like, not too long out of college and going to set up, just moved out of a mother's home, setting up shop, etc., etc. She's playing a much younger woman. So it is ridiculous for her to be saying, well, I didn't think I should be portraying this at my age, when I'm perimenopausal. It's I'm exaggerating that a little bit, but you get my gist. Like, she's applying, oh, well, I didn't think it was appropriate for me, Blake Lively, to be playing this part, and not thinking of herself in the role, like what the character actually was. If she'd read the book, it would have helped. That's all I'm going to say. This is why you read the fucking book. Okay. He told me that those were some of his most precious memories, and I don't remember the exact words he used, but between him and his wife, when he would bring her to orgasm. Then she would ask to then, I guess, do what was needed to happen for him, and he would say, no, that's enough. That was, and then Friedman says, so this was in connection with the creation of a scene. Objection. Was what in connection with the creation of a scene? Oh. This discussion about how the sex scene should go, was he discussing with you why he felt like the sex scene should go one way versus another? Lively. He was using personal experiences and descriptives in a conversation that my intention was to discuss the gratuitous sex that I felt it was added, but I felt it was gratuitous, that it had been added to the script. And my intention was to have a creative discussion about the sex scenes, and they made a surprising and really disturbing departure into personal conversations. Where did that meeting take place? At my office. And what was the date of the meeting? I don't remember. April of 2023. Was there any other occasion that Jamie walked into your trailer uninvited while you were undressing or breastfeeding? I remember them often, both of them, being Justin and Jamie, coming to my trailer to speak. And when I was in my trailer, I was more often than not, if I wasn't expecting visitors, I was more often than not topless. So, and did you lock your door? I started locking my door, yes. So you testified about the second day of production when Jamie came in. What were the other days that either Jamie or Justin come in uninvited? I don't remember specifically. I remember they often wanted to meet while I was in my trailer. I mean, that's not unusual. The fact that she sits in there topless is, just circumstances, it is how it is. But for the director and producer of a movie to want to go and speak to an actress while she's in her trailer, she's making this sound like it's, nefarious and unusual, and it's not. Friedman, while they often wanted to meet while you were in your trailer, did they actually go into your trailer without your permission while you were undressed or breastfeeding? Lively. I don't remember how many times that happened. I do remember that I began to adjust to the work to anticipate that. So I had a robe at the ready, and there were ways in which I could still meet with them if needed in my trailer in a way that I was able to be covered. Did you ever invite Jamie or Justin into your trailer while you were breastfeeding? I don't recall if I invited them in, but I would breastfeed while working as long as I felt comfortable and covered in a way where I felt like I could offer that consent. Did you ever actually put anything in writing where you invited Justin or Jamie into your trailer while you were breastfeeding to go over lines? While I was breastfeeding, no, not that I recall. What about while you were pumping? I think you're referencing a specific text, and I don't know if I was pumping at the time that he entered the trailer. My recollection is sharing what I was doing. It wasn't an immediate invitation. It wasn't an immediate invitation, meaning that he should come in later, is what you meant? No, I'm saying it wasn't explicit, but I would breastfeed and pump while working as long as I felt that I was covered and was able to offer consent to do it in a way where I was comfortable. And as you sit here today, are you sure that actually strike that? Did other people from the cast and crew go into your trailer while you were breastfeeding? Objection. Nobody insisted on entering when I told them not to, other than the circumstances I've told you. The reframing there. Did you ever tell Jamie or Justin that you'd never seen pornography before? Yes. In an attempt to change the subject, when Justin mentioned his pornography addiction, I said that as a deflection because I couldn't relate. I didn't understand enough about it. Would it surprise you to learn that Justin did not ever have a pornography addiction? It would surprise me to learn that because he told me that he did. When he told you that he did you say, "Stop, I don't want to hear this," or anything like that? By saying I never seen it and shutting down the conversation, that's how I told him to stop. So the actual words that you used was saying, "I've never seen it." Is that right? I mean, that's kind of engaging with the conversation rather than shutting it down. Lively. Well, his attempt was to explain pornography and what that was, and how what I felt to be pornographic wasn't in fact pornographic. And given that he was expressing his expertise on it, given his previous addiction. No, and that he was expressing his expertise on it given his previous addiction. And in an effort to no longer be talking about pornography, because I was never trying to talk about pornography, I said the scenes felt pornographic, and I wasn't opening a door to discuss pornography or anyone's past with it. I attempted to shut it down and change the subject. And did you ever tell Justin, "Don't talk about pornography to me"? That's what I felt like I expressed. How is that, like, by saying I've never seen pornography, how is that shutting a conversation down? Friedman, and you expressed that by using the words "I've never seen it." Objection. I said I've never seen pornography. I don't know anything about it. Prior to saying that to Justin, had you, and then it cuts off and jumps a page. Friedman, sure. Are you claiming that as part of your lawsuit that it was sexual harassment that either Justin or Jamie disclosed to the cast and crew that you never looked at pornography? Objection. I felt upset and disturbed and exposed that an effort at deflecting something that he had said that felt like it had crossed a line. Instead of him taking that and not doing it anymore, that he took that, used it in front of other crew members in the workplace. And this is just Justin or Jamie also. Jamie was always around Justin. They were a pair. So my memory of them together on set, and that was them together. Did you actually overhear Justin or Jamie tell crew members or cast members that you've never looked at pornography? Yes, I remember hearing that. You heard it from them directly? I remember hearing that from Justin, yes. And Justin said that in front of you? Yes. Who did he tell? I don't remember specifically, it's convenient. I remember him speaking about pornography in a casual way. And he said, "Oh, Blake doesn't know anything about it, she's never seen it." When was this? What date? I don't remember what date. Do you remember the month? It would have been in May of 2023. Did you bring this up with Ange? I don't remember if I made it to that. Did you bring it up with anyone at Sony? Eventually, yes. In May or June, did you bring it up to them? No, I don't know if I made it to that. Like I said, Ange shut me down quickly, telling me I couldn't file a HR claim through Sony. Who was there when Justin was saying that you had never seen pornography? Who in the cast or crew was present for that? Objection. I don't remember specifically. I remember the feeling more than I remember the specifics. It's always a feeling. Everything is a feeling. Right. I think we're jumping pages. Okay. She's asking, can you be more specific? Friedman, sure. Did Leslie Sloan call you and tell you that she received information from Stephanie Jones about a smear campaign or something similar to that? Are we getting to Van Zandt? I think we're getting to Van Zandt. She did not. Did you learn from Leslie Sloan that there were text messages in Jen Abel's phone? No. Who did you learn that from? Ashley Avignon. Who is that? She's a friend of mine. And what did she tell you? She said that a woman that she knows named Stephanie Jones was trying to get in touch with me. She gave me more details. When did she tell you that? Late August of 2024. And did she tell you that in writing or on the telephone? On the phone. And what else did she tell you? She told me that she works with a woman in, I think she's an interior designer, and the woman's name is Stephanie Jones, and that she's a publicist, and that she has a phone which contains the most disturbing messages she's ever read in her 20 to 30 plus year career. That as a mother and woman, she was sobbing reading the messages. Oh my God. That she thought I deserved to see what had been done to me. She said that she had reached out to my publicist, Leslie Sloan, to share the same and was brushed off. But she said that she felt like I should see these messages and that they were on a phone that she had ownership of because it was a company phone. Stephanie, did you speak with Stephanie Jones? No, this was relayed to me through Ashley. And did you get a hold of those documents? Objection. Eventually, yes. When was that? Fall of 2024? When you say fall, can you be more? Oh no, please tell me it cuts off. Jumps to page 177. Okay. Friedman, did you cause or suggest to the cast of It Ends With Us to stop following Justin Baldoni on social media? Hudson, objection. Lively, no. Now that's not true because Colleen Hoover has confirmed she unfollowed Justin because Blake asked her to. And we've also seen a text message from Jenny Slate to Blake Lively, letting Lively know that she had asked her Instagram assistant to unfollow Justin. Why would she need to let Lively know that if it was organically her decision? Did you have any discussions with anybody in the cast about that? Yes, a couple of us spoke about it. Who did you speak with? Jenny Slate was very upset on the first round of production, so she unfollowed him in May or June of 2023. I'm fairly sure she unfollowed him much later. I don't know, I'll have to check. And before the film came out, Jenny doesn't manage her social media. She has a person do it for her. And she noticed that this person had refollowed him. And she really wanted these people out of her life, as she put it. I don't know if those were the exact words. And she was concerned enough about the tough position we were all in, which is wanting to protect the film and also wanting to respect her own boundaries and dignity. Who else did you have discussions with about unfollowing Justin Baldoni? Colleen Hoover told me after she unfollowed him. That's a lie. Anyone else? No. Are you aware that Sony ever suggested that you were the cause of people unfollowing Justin? Objection. No. Are you aware of Sony saying that it was your doing that right before the premiere, everybody stopped following Justin, which caused immediate interest in the dispute? Objection. Given that Sony is a corporate entity, can you be more specific with who you're speaking about? Anyone at Sony? Anyone at Sony? Yes. No, not that I'm aware of. You've never seen a document or seen anything that indicates in any way that Sony was holding you responsible for the cast unfollowing Justin. Is that your testimony? And then there's an objection, and we are skipping pages. Now on page 185. She is halfway through. She's partway through an answer. I don't know what the question is. So I had no reason to ask, unless there was an outbreak. But nobody told me there was an outbreak. So I said, why didn't anybody tell me? And she said, well, because we don't have COVID insurance, is my understanding. So I don't think they wanted you to test. And did you verify that information with anyone? I was told the next day that they did not have COVID insurance, yes. Who told you that? Alex Sachs. Did you request a meeting with Jamie, Justin, and Alex Sachs on June 1st, 2023? I don't remember the date, but I do remember when I came back after having COVID, I requested a meeting with them. How did you request a meeting? Was it by email or a phone call? I don't recall. Was this an in-person meeting? Yes. And this was the first day that production began again after you got back from COVID, right? Yes. Was anyone else invited to attend that meeting that didn't attend? Not that I recall. What was discussed at the meeting on June 1st? I wanted to check in with them about many things, but upon starting the meeting, Justin started to explain to me that Jamie showing, I hadn't mentioned this, that Jamie showing the nude video of his wife was okay, and it wasn't Jamie's fault. Justin said, it's my fault. I told him to show you because I thought you wanted to see it. So it's not on Jamie, it's on me. Which was so shocking to me because I had a conversation with Ange a few days before saying I wanted to file a formal HR complaint. She told me I couldn't file a complaint through Sony and that I had to file it to the men who were making me so uncomfortable. And I asked her not to tell them so that I could figure out how to deal with it properly with my team. And then she told them, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to handle it because that's not the way that I planned to log my concerns. And it was especially upsetting because it was especially upsetting because I now was confirmed everything that I was afraid of, which is that they didn't find it to be an issue. They didn't say absolutely not, this will never happen again. They said it's my fault, not his. I thought you wanted to see it. They didn't ensure that I would have a safe set. They didn't offer me HR people to call. They didn't tell me who was responsible ever. Not then, not before. And I had to keep working with these people, and I had to do sex scenes with these people, and I had to do a rape scene with this person, and I had no one to go to. Did you have a body double that could have done that scene? When we came back, I asked for a body double. Yes, you had a body double anyway. And did you ultimately have the body double do that scene? No, because it was after the protections were in place and the set was much better. At the June 1st meeting, did you, Hudson, is this? Yeah, it's continuation. Hudson then interjects, just before you go on, are you okay? Lively, yeah. Freeman, do you want to take a break? Lively, no, it's fine, let's go. Friedman, on June 1st meeting, did you expressly tell Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath that there were serious HR problems on the set? I don't know what words I used because I wasn't planning on addressing the HR issues with them directly in my trailer with Alex Sachs in that moment, but I did express real concern for the things that had occurred thus far, including Jamie entering my trailer when I was naked from the waist up. So when Jamie showed you the video of the birthing scene, the after birthing scene, are you familiar with that? Objection. That's not what I said, no. Do you recall Jamie showing you a still image on his iPhone? Objection. No, I recall a moving image. Did you watch the movie? Objection. Movie, I wouldn't characterize it as a movie. Well, did you just say movie image? Moving image. Oh, moving image. I apologize. Did you watch the moving image? As soon as I saw that it was a naked woman fully exposed, I asked him to stop. Was there a birthing scene during the production of It Ends With Us? We had already shot the birthing scene when he showed me that video. Excuse me, sorry. And did he tell you why he was showing you the video? No. And he just showed it to you without explaining anything about it? Yes. And you just looked at it, and how long did you look at it for? Objection. Very briefly. Very briefly meaning 2 minutes, a minute. I stopped it as soon as I saw that there was a naked woman he was showing me, because I didn't know what it was. There was no context. He did not ask if I wanted to see it. He did not ask for my consent. I asked him. He told me it was his wife giving birth. I asked if she had given consent to share that with me. And what did she say? She wasn't there. What did he say she said? She's not weird about that kind of stuff? Did he tell you why he was showing it to you? No. You had no idea whatsoever why he was showing it to you. Objection. No. There was no reason to show me that day. We were shooting in a Boston bar. During the June 1st meeting that we were just talking about, attended by yourself, Jamie, Justin, and Alex Sachs, during that meeting, did you call the actions by Justin Baldoni sexual and they cut off? Okay, so we're skipping ahead. She's part of the way answering something. I would do a Colleen Hoover film because the narrative or sentiment that this book I would do a Colleen Hoover film because the narrative or the sentiment was that this book romanticized and sexualized, more specifically, not romanticized, but sexualized domestic violence. And does negative press bother you? Objection. I'm used to it after this many years in the industry, but it's not something I've had to deal with often. That's not true. Well, I mean, it's true that you dealt with negative press with respect to being married on a plantation during kind of the height of the Black Lives Matter. Is that right? Friedman goes for the jugular. Objection. It's true that I dealt with negative press during that. I was not married then, and I feel like that negative press was deserved. It's a mistake. We have publicly acknowledged and done a lot of work to reconcile for ourselves and others. And just to be clear, you're not alleging that anything related to the plantation wedding is part of the smear campaign, is that correct? Objection. No. No, it's not correct, or yes, it is correct. Hudson, well, objection. Lively. Well, your question was unclear. Can you say it again? One more time, again, I apologize. Is any of the press that came out around that was negative around the fact that you were married on a plantation? Is it your position that you believe that's part of the smear campaign? Objection. I don't know all that was utilized to, all that was created, dredged up as part of the smear campaign. I take full accountability for that decision, as does my husband. But I don't know what weaponizations of the past has been part of the campaign. What do you mean by dredged up? I mean that both directly and indirectly by creating this environment. There was a story that was being told about me suddenly on August 9th that it was my character. I was a mean girl, that I was a bully. Most specifically, that I was a bully. And then it cuts and goes to a different page. So Hudson's objecting. I'm not sure what to. Lively. I did not ask that of anyone. Like I said, as part of the return to work protections, my lawyers negotiated with both Wayfarer parties and as Wayfarer represented Sony as well on what would happen to the footage that was most sensitive in nature. So you never asked or had anyone on your behalf ask from Sony to destroy the dailies, is that correct? No. Did she? Hudson objects. No, I have never asked anyone to destroy dailies, no. What about, did you ask anyone on your behalf to contact Sony to destroy the dailies? Did she ask someone to destroy the dailies? Hudson objects. No. Did you ever draft a HR complaint? I don't know what that means. Human resources complaint. Did you ever fill one out? Objection. I was never provided a HR resource. So is that a no? You did not? Objection. Because she threatened. Was it WME? I think it was her. I want to say it was either Sony or WME. She told one of them that they weren't showing her the dailies or something, and that she had a HR complaint ready to go. So that's why he's asking this, I think. Oh, I can't believe there is a suggestion that she destroyed the dailies. Okay. So that is a no, you did not. Objection. I went to my attorneys and asked for HR protections because I was not provided a HR resource. No. So in August of 20, I mean, could she not? She went to her attorneys. Could she not have gone to the attorneys and got them to send a cease and desist? So in August of 2023, you had not drafted any type of HR complaint. Is that correct? Objection. Like I said, I wasn't provided a HR resource. I had made attempts to file HR claims. You made attempts to file written HR complaints, claims, or oral ones. Wayfarer parties never offered me or made me aware of who to go for HR. That's standard on set. I don't know movies that happen anymore in which the actor doesn't have to do a HR meeting along with the rest of the crew. That's a requirement. But this film did not provide it, as far as I'm aware. And so I called Ange Gianetti and told her that I would like to file one through Sony and was told that I couldn't. Did you ever refer to the Wayfarer defendants as clowns? That sounds familiar. Did you ever refer to them as doofuses? Oh, I need to hear the answer. Oh, we're jumping pages. Okay. What film was that? So this is Friedman. What film was that? I don't recall the name. And that didn't happen as a result of you being sexually harassed? Or did that not happen as a result of the Smith? Hold on. And that didn't happen as a result of you being sexually harassed? Or did that not happen as a result of the smear campaign? Objection. I don't believe those two are mutually exclusive. I believe that I was sexually harassed and retaliated against. And part of that retaliation was a smear campaign. And that smear campaign harmed my prospective work opportunities. Have you worked since It Ends With Us? Have I worked? Yes. Can you be more specific? What? She needs him to be specific? Have you had a job which pays you money? Objection. I work regularly. I don't get paid money from my work. What? What jobs have you had since It Ends With Us? Objection. I have a company called Betty Buzz and I have a company called Blake Brown. And you've done no other work since the end of It Ends With Us other than working on those two companies? Objection. Have you? No, I don't believe so. Were you in a movie with Anna Kendrick? Like Miss Lively, you was too traumatized to work on any films. But immediately following the end of filming It Ends With Us, did you hop on a plane to Capri and go and film Another Simple Favor? That's where this is going. Were you in a movie with Anna Kendrick? Are you asking about? I understood your question to be since It Ends With Us come out. Are you asking since I shot It Ends With Us? That's correct. Since you shot It Ends With Us. Okay. Since the beginning of the smear campaign. Objection. You're using your definition in different ways. The way you have defined the smear campaign for the purposes of today is the digital manipulation that occurred in August of 2024. That's when the film was released. That's what I understood us to be talking about. Are you asking about from the time the film was completed being shot or from when it was released? Did you go to the Toronto Film Festival on a movie that involved Anna Kendrick also? When? Did you go to any? Actually, it was actually in Austin. Did you go to Austin on a film that involved Anna Kendrick? Yes. I just don't want to misstate my testimony. So when you say since It Ends With Us, I just want to be clear for the record that I understood you to be saying since It Ends With Us came out because you're timestamping it from the smear campaign. So I have done a movie since It Ends With Us finished shooting. I have not done a movie since It Ends With Us come out and the retaliation campaign started. Have you received any offers of employment? Objection. Of employment, I don't know what that means. Right, so she basically admitted that when she's taken on as a film, she's not an employee. She doesn't know what the term employment means. This woman is an airhead. Friedman, well, has anyone offered you a role in a movie or asked you to take a look at a movie to be an actress or a writer or a director or an actor or any role? Since objection. Since when? Since It Ends With Us come out. Not that I'm aware of. Who are your family members that have been substantially harmed? Objection. My husband and children. Anyone else? I believe that my mother and my siblings have been emotionally harmed. How? How? And I believe my sister and her husband have been harmed. Are you fucking kidding me? Bart Johnson is claiming that he's been harmed. Because Bart Johnson is the one who took back his criticism of Justin Baldoni after the first amended complaint come out with all the evidence. My husband, my children, my sister and her husband, my mother and my siblings have all been harmed, apparently, from this experience on the set of It Ends With Us. What a load of bullshit. Okay. Friedman, you've won some accolades since It Ends With Us has come out. Is that true? Objection. I don't know. You don't know? Were you selected in having something to do with either Time 100 or People 100? Did anyone honour you? Objection. I don't think that's characterised as winning an accolade. No, your husband bought it. I'm getting really frustrated with her now. But yes, I was honoured at the Time 100. Well, that, in theory, should be winning an accolade. I was honoured at the Time 100, in the Time 100 list at the event. Okay, so we jump, yeah, we're now changing page. Okay. Friedman's part of the way through a question. Great, your rooftop scene writing was. Okay. Hudson objects. Lively. No, that's not how I would characterize what happened. How would you characterize what happened? Taylor was coming to my apartment anyway to hang out. Justin was still there. I was very afraid of the state of the script, given that he had been adding naughty doctor scenes and then some, which we described earlier. What, to the rooftop scene? He was adding naughty doctor scenes to the rooftop scene. And I was aware at this point that I could not get out of the film. I was also aware that Justin was not, I didn't feel like he was making forward progress. He had changed the script significantly from the one I had signed on to, and I didn't know he was changing it significantly. He sent me a script, and I said, can you send me a version with stars on it? Which is what happens when you change a line. A star shows up on the margin. And he said, oh, I'm 15 drafts in from the original. If I send you a version with stars on it, the whole thing would be starred. So the entire film that I agreed to, are we changing? I think we're skipping ahead. No, we're not. We're continuing. So the entire film that I agreed to was changing significantly. I knew I couldn't get out of the film. I was trying to do anything I could to make it better because I requested that we go back to the draft that I had agreed to join the movie on. And he said, we've already been prepping this one. We can't go back. I didn't know any of that was happening. I sent him pages. He was busy that weekend. I think he had a friend in town, and I didn't feel like he was taking it very seriously that the script was of concern. And other people in my life, mutual people that he knows as well, were very concerned about the state of the script. And I sent, why are other people seeing the script? And I sent Taylor the script on her way to my apartment because Justin was still there, and I asked her to read them. And I told her she didn't have to. I didn't want her to feel pressured to do that, but I hoped she would. And if she liked them, if she could express enthusiasm, because I was hoping that would create some excitement and that he might pay closer attention to them. Friedman, isn't it true that I'm just checking for continuity, sorry. Yeah, it's not going to continue. Isn't it true that you told her whether or not she read them? She read your pages that. And then it cuts off, but we've all seen the messages. So we know what is said. Okay, so we're jumping ahead several pages now. So we're nearly finished, actually. We've only got a couple more pages of this deposition transcript. When Mr. Friedman allegedly made these defamatory comments on behalf of Mr. Wallace, did he make them prior to the lawsuit, to that lawsuit, which has now been dismissed, being sent to New York? Objection. Friedman, how about that? It's Hudson, objection. My understanding is that Mr. Friedman's harmful statements start. Is that Friedman? I think this might be Jed Wallace, actually. This might be Jed Wallace. Yes, I think this might be Chip Bagpot. When Mr. Friedman allegedly made these defamatory comments on behalf of Mr. Wallace, did he make them prior to the lawsuit, to that lawsuit, which has now been dismissed, being sent to New York? Objection. How about that? Objection. My understanding is that Mr. Friedman's harmful statements started as soon as the first case started, which would be mine, so December of 2024. Okay. The premiere of It Ends With Us, the film, was on August 6th of 2024. Is that right? I don't know the exact date, but that sounds correct. Okay. Yes, it is. Babcock. Love Babcock. Have you got 1051? I may have a document that might help. Lively, thanks. Babcock, you can attach that one. 1051, if you go to the fourth page, next to the last page, it says Tuesday, August 6th, 7 p.m. It Ends With Us premiere. Location, AMC Lincoln Square, 1998 Broadway, New York, New York. Okay. Does that refresh your recollection as to when the premiere was? Sorry, I wasn't there yet. This is 8981, Tuesday, August 6th. It Ends With Us premiere, yes. Okay, and the film's release was on August 9th, is that right? In the United States, yes. It released at different times in different international territories. But for the sake of our conversations today, when I've talked about the day the film was released, I was talking about August 9th. Okay. And you testified earlier that was when you first became aware of the negative argument, or the negative article about you, right? Objection. Not an article, no. It felt, no, not one article. And that's it. There may be other transcripts. This is one I've stumbled across. It's quite a lengthy one. We have been going for nearly 2 hours now. So if there are more, I will do a separate video for them. I also just really quickly want to point out, I've done several videos since these unsealed filings have been put on the docket. There are obviously a lot of comments people are making on my videos. Normally, I would comment and respond to every single one. I do still intend to do that. I've just been slammed. So I'm not ignoring. I have made time to, especially where someone's left a super chat or something, or when they pointed out either a problem with the audio, or I think one of my, there was a series of 6 episodes which I forgot to upload number 5 before number 6 got uploaded. So I've managed to catch them, but I will be responding. If I haven't responded to your comment yet, I will respond to it. So please don't think I'm ignoring. And thank you for leaving the comment. Always appreciate it. Okay. Bye, guys.